Here we go, guys. This will be the document that I give you guys. Okay, and of course, the first thing you'll have to do is make a copy of this for yourselves. Okay, because you will have to fill this in and submit this, one for everybody. So the big idea here is researching these person-to-person payments, these person-to-person apps. Okay, according to NerdWallet, let me get so we can see all of part one. According to NerdWallet, peer-to-peer payment systems, also known as P2P payments or money transfer apps, allow users to send one another money from their mobile devices through a linked bank account or card. So even though there are many different apps that you can use for this, they all involve you linking your bank account or your debit card, sometimes a credit card, to this app. Otherwise, you wouldn't have any money to pay with. Okay, so they do all involve that at least. And these apps make splitting bills with friends and family painless. So let's learn more about these types of apps and payments, shall we? We shall. So part one. Okay, just getting into the basics here. How does P2P work? So from NerdWallet's own article, right, which I have in blue because it's a link, about peer-to-peer payments that can also be found right here. So you've got the link twice there in case you miss it the first time. I want you to read the following sections. So how P2P payments work, which one should you use, and how fast are P2P payments? What do they cost? Okay, those are 3 sections of the article out of, I think there were 5 sections on there. Okay, after you read those sections, which by all means read the whole thing if you want. Okay, it's all good information. But I at least need you to read these 3 so you can answer these 5 questions here. Okay, and please note, I wrote this in here. Do not copy and paste from the article or elsewhere. Okay, I want to hear from you. I want to hear how you're understanding this stuff, what you are taking from the paragraphs. Okay, so pretty basic stuff. What do you need in order to make a P2P payment? In your own words, summarize how to make one. How do you know which app or system is right for you? What are some possible drawbacks or negative aspects of using these types of payment apps? I want you to explain 2 of those. Okay, and then the last thing is just kind of a random example, but it says the day they go on sale, Beth forgets her money to buy season tickets to the high school basketball games. Randall has extra cash in his wallet and pays for her ticket. So how is P2P useful for Beth in this specific scenario? Okay, after getting that information from those sections, you should in fact be able to answer these questions sufficiently here. Okay, so that is part 1. Again, just reading through that article, getting the basic information. All right, and after part 1, of course, comes part 2. So part 2 is now getting into what companies provide these types of apps. And you'll see everybody will have this chart. Your chart will not be filled in with these X's. Okay, I put these there according to me. So this is just my example for you. I want you to place a capital X on the chart according to whether or not you've used the app yourself, if you know someone who uses it, if you've heard of it, or you've never heard of it. Okay, again, this is all based on you. So everybody's chart really should look different. So you can see there were only 2 apps that I hadn't heard of, Zelly and Pop Money. And all the rest I've at least heard of. I know people that use them. And there's 3 you can see that I have used myself. Okay, so part 2 really shouldn't take you too long. You're just marking the boxes for the things that apply to you. Okay, that brings us on to part 3, which this is really the bulk of the assignment here. This should take you the longest. Okay, that's why I'm giving you guys 2 classes. So it says to learn a bit more about the companies that offer the P2P service and key details that you should understand about their services, here are a couple resource articles. So this Magnify Money, there's a link there for that article. a different NerdWallet article than in the beginning. And then I also added in there that I found it very useful to go right to the company website. So you'll see my example down here where it says app number 1 name, Pop Money. I had never heard of Pop Money before, so I felt it would be worthwhile at least to research that one. And for that, I actually went right to popmoney.com and found just about all the information I needed. So I want you to use the chart in part 2, so where you put all those X's, to select 3 apps you want to research in more detail. And I would very much prefer that you choose at least one app that you haven't heard of, right? Make it as worthwhile for yourselves as you can. Then conduct your own research using the resources that I mentioned and that I linked in, and fill out the table for each app. Okay, and this is what the table looks like here. There's 5 sections. So while you do your research, you should think about the following questions. Okay, does this tool work with specific banks or accounts only? Or can you use it regardless of your bank? That's an important question, something you absolutely need to know before you go and use one of these apps. Who am I allowed to send money to? Is there a fee for my transactions? And then what security or anti-fraud measures does this company take to protect their users? Okay, so again, here's my example. I filled this in with my research that I did yesterday. Okay, in this first box, you can see the most information there. This is just the general info about it. Like it says, the primary purpose, what it's mainly used for, and how the app works. Okay, so I've explained that right there. Then there's these 5 smaller sections where you get into a little bit more detail, just talking about who you can pay, whether or not there's fees to send money or fees to cash out. Then some pros, so the good things about it, and the cons, those bad things. Okay, one thing I just wanted to, that I thought was kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's funny, but a pro for this app is that you can transfer the fee for your request to the person you're requesting from. So I don't know, that seems kind of a little schemish, right? If I request money from one of you guys, I can make you guys pay the fee, which I don't know really if that's fair, but that's something you can do with this app, right? So all these things are things that you should consider when you're looking into downloading these apps. Okay, and these are very much used today. All these apps are very popular. So for this third section, this research section, you have 3 apps that I want you to research. And I'll tell you guys, when I did my Pop Money research, that took me about maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. So you should take a little time for this. Okay, I want to see some good work in here. This is spanning 2 classes. So make your work reflect that. Okay, put the effort in. Will be about a 25-point assignment. So how well you elaborate on things will be reflected in your grade. Okay, so there's 3 apps that you need to do. And then part 4, of course, we need that conclusion section. So this is kind of just wrapping up with the stuff that you learned from your research and that initial article. All right, some questions just to wrap it all up, tie it all together. Okay, and after that 10th question there, you'll be done. But absolutely nobody should be done with this today. Okay, at least into next class, I'll check on the progress